So homework 7 is solving systems of equations by using the method substitution. So when you get your first problem on Math Excel, you are going to have two equations. Make sure you write them side by side. And when we solve using substitution, we want to have one of our equations to be y by itself on one side of the equal sign or x by itself on one side of the equal sign. This one already has an equation where we have y equals something. So I'm going to take the 2x, because right now y is 2x. I'm going to bring that over here, and I'm going to substitute it in. I'm just going to substitute it in for that y. So then when I rewrite this first equation, I'm going to write x plus, and then instead of y, I'm going to write 2x. And then I will finish out the rest of the problem, equals 3. And then now I'm going to solve this equation, x plus 2x equals 3. I'm going to solve it for x. So I have two terms that are alike. So I'm going to add together my 1x plus 2x to get 3x equals 3. And then to solve for x, I'm going to divide by 3. So now x equals 1. And so I've completed half of the problem because we want our answer to be in an ordered pair. So now that I found x, I can take that this 1 and substitute it back in to that x. So now I have y equals 2, which was part of the problem, and then instead of the x, I'm going to substitute in the 1. So now y equals 2 times 1 is 2. And now I have an ordered pair. And in my ordered pair, the x value always comes first. So 1, 2 is my answer. For number 2, here's my first equation, and I want to write the second equation right beside it. This one has already been solved for x by itself. So I am going to take this 34 minus 6y, and I'm going to substitute it in for that x. So I will now have the 6, and then instead of the x, I'm going to write 34 minus 6y. And then, so that took care of the 6x. Then I have plus 7y equals 1. And then I have to simplify that line. So I will have 6 times 34, which gives me 204, minus, and then I've got 6 times 6y, so 36y. And then I still have the plus 7y equals 1. Again, I have to simplify. I'm going to put the minus 36y plus 7y together. So my next line will be 204. And then in the calculator, I'm going to do negative 36 plus 7 gives me minus 29y equals 1. And then I want this y to end up by itself eventually. So I need to do minus 204 on both sides of the equal sign. So now I'm going to have negative 29y equals, and in your calculator you can do 1 minus 204, gives me negative 203. And then I need to solve for y. So I'm going to divide by negative 29, divide by negative 29, and I'm actually going to write that out here. So that gives me y equals, and in your calculator, negative 203 divided by negative 29 is a positive 7. So I've found half of my answer. Now I'm going to go back up and I'm going to use either one of these equations. I like this second one. So I'm going to rewrite it. X equals 34 minus 6y. And this time I'm going to take this 7 and I'm going to substitute it in for that y. So this line will be x equals 34 minus 6 times positive 7. So then x equals 34, and I'm going to do 6 times the 7, so minus 42. X equals, and then in your calculator, 34 minus 42 gives me a negative 8. So my solution, which is over here, the line for it is over here. I'm just going to write my solution here. Remember that the x value goes first, so negative 8, positive 7 is my solution. Okay, number 3 gets a little more difficult because neither one of these equations is solved for a variable by itself. Well, this one looks like it would take an awful lot to get an x or a y by itself. So I'm going to use my second equation, and I am going to solve for x since x is already positive. So I am going to add y to both sides of my equal sign. And so that gives me x equals, and I'm just going to write what I see right here, which is negative 1 plus y. And now that I have an equation that is solved for a variable, I can substitute it in. So I'm going to take my negative 1 plus y and substitute it in for the x. So this line will now read 8 parenthesis negative 1 plus y plus 2y equals negative 68. And then I'm going to simplify this and end up solving for y. So my next line, I have 8 times -1, -8. 8 times y, so plus 8y. And then plus 2y equals -68. I need to put together my 8y and my 2y. So my next line is -8 plus 10y equals -68. I eventually want that y to be by itself. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides of the equal sign. So now I have 10y equals -68 plus 8 gives us -60. Divide by 10, divide by 10. So my y equals -6. So that's half of my answer. So I'm going to come over here and find the second half. So I am going to rewrite this equation, x minus y equals -1. And I'm going to substitute this 6, actually this -6, into this equation. It only goes in for the y. So this equation will be x minus, and then the y is -6. Equals -1. So now minus a negative is a plus. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to write x plus 6 equals -1. Subtract 6 on both sides of the equal sign. X equals -1 minus 6 is -7. So my solution, and remember, the x value comes first, so the x is -7, and the y is -6, and that is my solution. Number 4, we have two equations again. This one, the second one, is already solved for y, so I can begin substituting. So I'm going to take this 4 minus 2x and put it in for the y. So this equation will now be 2x plus, and then my parentheses, 4 minus 2x equals 4. So then I'm going to simplify this. So now this becomes 2x. And because this is a plus, I can just rewrite all of this without the equal sign. Or I'm sorry, without the parentheses. And now I have 2x minus 2x. And so those actually cancel each other out. So now I have 4 equals 4. And when the letters drop out and we have a true statement, that means that there are infinitely many solutions. And there is no other work to show. Number 5, this equation is already solved for y, so I can begin substituting. So I'm going to take this 2x plus 5 and put it in for this y. So this line will be 12x minus 6 times the 2x plus times the 2x plus 5 equals 30. So now I'm going to simplify this equation. So 12x, and then I have negative 6 times 2x, so negative 12x, negative 6 times 5, negative 30, equals 30. And then I have my 12x and minus 12x that cancel. So now I have negative 30 equals 30, which is false. So this is no solution. And in Math Excel, it might say empty set. That's the same thing as no solution. And then number 6, these equations are both solved for y, so it really doesn't matter which way we substitute. But since I've been going this direction, I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to take this 2x and put it in for the y. So now this, instead of y, it's 2x. But then I still have my 14 minus 5x. And so I'm going to solve for x. I'm going to add 5x to both sides of the equal sign. So now I have 7x equals 14. Divide by 7, divide by 7. So x equals 2. And I have found half of my solution. So then either equation, it doesn't matter. I'm going to rewrite y equals 2x. And this time I'm going to substitute this 2 into the x. So this is y equals 2 times 2. So y equals 4. And my solution, remember, is an ordered pair. The x value is first, so that's a 2, and then the y. So my solution is 2, 4.